So it was the 8A game, and we were there for that, and now we're at Innisfree, and we appreciate all of you guys being with us wherever you might be watching across the world right now, or maybe hanging out with us here at Innisfree. It's time for Cover Crimson with Clint Lamb. I'm Mick Gillispie. Show's brought to you by Pearl River Resort, and don't forget covercrimson.com as well. And I'm eating wings and drinking beers, and I'm glad I'm out of the heat. He'd love to go back and watch more 8A, whatever that is. All right, let's play the open. You guys ready? Roll Tide. All right, Roll Tide, everybody. Cover Crimson, covercrimson.com. We talk Alabama football on a daily basis, and we are live on a Saturday because we just got back from Bryant-Denny Stadium. We got a chance to take in this Alabama football program. I'm going to tell you who the starting quarterback's going to be, although I've already told you that for the last couple months. I'm going to reiterate that, Clint. But first off, I want to know what you thought about the 8A experience. It looked to me, Clint, I'm OCD. I mean, out there, I mean, I'm like watching like 10 things at one time. It was overload stimulation to me.
I was the same way. Yeah, it part of that's by design. You want to be efficient with practice, and that's exactly what it was. But also part of that's by design because it's hard to kind of keep up with everything and know what all's going on. But I thought it was a interesting up. I thought there was a lot of takeaways as far as you got some of the 11-on-11 stuff. You got the one-on-one with the wide receivers versus the defensive backs, the offensive line versus the defensive line. Saw some situational work, which was fun. And there were definitely some standouts, man. I mean, some guys struggled, but overall, I was very impressed with how the team looks.
Okay, well, I love to hear that. You were impressed. To me, at one point, I'm going to tell you guys this, you might not believe it, but when Nick Saban took the job, we had 92,000 people out there for an 8A game. It's a scrimmage. It looked like practice to me. There's guys like hitting stuff and throwing footballs around, Clint, but I have a short attention span, and it was just too much, man. Like, I want a game. I missed the game.
No, let me tell people what happened. As soon they started off with like some 11-on-11 work. That was like one of the first things they did. It was rapid fire, very fast paced. And as soon as they decided to cut away from that after probably about, I think it was just one period long, they started doing some individual warm-up drills. And that's when Mick turned to me. He's like, you know what? Getting pretty warm out here. I think I'm going to go show them what the academic building.
Yeah. My friend Sherry Kelly and her son Cole, they're in the house right now. They came all the way because Cole, we're trying to get him not to go to LSU and Auburn. At least he hasn't said Tennessee to me today. But so I'm showing him around. He wants to do business and everything. So, yeah, we had to slip out. But we showed up. I mean, we made some friends there, Clint. I mean, we did.
Oh, yeah, it was good.
You're fair-skinned. I'm surprised you wouldn't stay in there in that heat.
Look, I'll do anything to see practice, first of all. I wasn't expecting it to be that sunshiny and warm. Maybe I should have checked the weather, but at least I had long sleeves on, so that was good. But I don't know. Who's going to be Alabama's starting quarterback, Mick? Let's just go ahead and dive right in. I want your take because I know that it's the definitive. This is how we decide.
I'm going to tell you guys what's going to happen in that race, and you can go ahead and bank on it unless there's an injury. But what I want to say first is that we appreciate all of you guys for hanging out with us wherever you might be watching, and we ask you to hit the like button. That is a way of saying Roll Tide, like and subscribe, thumbs up as you hang out with us here today on this Saturday from Innisfree in Tuscaloosa. And I see you guys doing it. Thank you so much. Roll Tide to you. Show's brought to you by we've got great partners and none greater than our friends at Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. So glad to have them on board right now. And part of what we do, it's this day, Clint, I'm looking out there. I'm thinking about the Masters. We got the Masters on in here. And I'm going, I could go to Pearl River and play Dancing Rabbit Golf Course, the Azaleas, the Oaks, and feel like I'm, Tiger back in, what was it, like, what year was it that he made that last run? Was that 2019, 2018, somewhere in there?
Yeah.
That historic.
It wasn't 2020, was it?
No.
They didn't have the
It was before COVID. But anyway, you can go over there and do that. They got the sports book as well, and we appreciate them for being part of what we do here on the show every day. All right, the question that Clint asked me and the answer that I'm going to give you guys is an easy answer, and it starts with math, right? And as a proud graduate of the University of Alabama, I know math. Okay, maybe I took like one math class in college, but the math class I took tells me one thing, right? That there's no way in the world they're not going to start him at quarterback, because if they don't, he's transferring to Tennessee. Have any of you guys noticed that Tennessee's quarterback just took the $2 million? He just took it, he crumbled it up and threw it at him, and he's leaving. And yeah, Nico wants the money, and so if they don't put Ty Simpson at quarterback, he's going to be wearing orange. Okay, and let me tell you this: when Ty Simpson was being recruited, I was at Neyland Stadium for an Alabama-Tennessee game, and Clay Travis. I was with Clay Travis and some people over at Calhoun's, and him and his dad were there. Tennessee wanted Ty Simpson to go there, and when he came to Tuscaloosa, they are in big trouble right now. Without a quarterback, I've heard, and I told you this, Clinton, you know, like, I don't remember if I said it on these shows, but I've said it off the air. I have heard for a long time that Nico was very difficult to work with. He was getting NIL money, that he didn't want to do the things that the sponsors asked him to do, and they got fed up with it, right? And honestly, like, forget about the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry. I'm glad that they stood up to him, because I'm so sick and tired of these guys. Like, if you're getting $2 million, go out there and throw the football. Show up for practice. We got to show up for work every day, right? And that's what happened over there. And we're being held hostage by some of these deals right now. And thank God we haven't had that situation here. But what I'm telling you is that Ty Simpson mathematically is going to be the quarterback. 4 years here, right? You saw Austin Mack today. He's not ready for the job yet. Keelon Russell has all the tools. I mean, I'm looking at you watching him throw the football, and I'm like, man, like, he is, look at the spin rate on that. Give me my analytics. Like, but he's just not ready yet. This is Ty Simpson's time. And if you put Austin Mack ahead of him, he's transferring to Tennessee. He's the next quarterback at Alabama. Plus Clint, he looks the part.
Yeah, I thought Todd definitely looked the part relative to the other quarterbacks. Now, granted, Keelon Russell, for the most part, it kind of felt par for the course based off everything that we've heard this spring. Austin Mack, just, you know, the decision-making at times, he definitely felt like he was pressing a little bit, trying to force some things, trying to make some plays, the wow plays. There was one where he's working his reads, and he works to the backside post, and it's cover 3, so the middle of the field's not going to be there. And he's still kind of, slinging it in there, ends up throwing an interception, I think, to Xavier Brown, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And it's like, that's just one of the things. If you're getting cover 3, that's not where you're going with the football. And if you are going there with the football, you certainly can't make the throw like he made. It's not the correct ball placement. Keelon Russell, interception on his first snap that he had, but he really settled down, did some of the wow stuff. But, man, just watching him, it is a situation where, once again, we've said this 100 times, he can do some things that the other guys can't do. But when you talk about steadiness, consistency, Ty really didn't do anything that just completely blew you away. But I thought he was taking what the defense was giving him, good understanding of, working within the offense and how it was going to all operate together. And it was very evident that Ty Simpson has been around for quite a while. Feels like Austin Mack kind of pressing. And Keelon Russell is an ultra-talented player who I think, it's like I've said the last couple of days, the further he gets into this, the more comfortable and confident he gets, the more dangerous he's going to get. I just don't think he's there quite yet. So I'll be curious to see how it ends up, continuing to unfold. But right now, Ty, just from what we saw, it looks like Ty's got a pretty commanding lead.
Yeah, I don't think that's anything that any of us are, after watching today, are surprised about. And Army 3275 says Austin Mack 2 interceptions, Keelon 1, and Ty did okay. I want to thank all of you guys for hanging out with us on the channel. And it looks like a lot of you guys are curious about what happened, and we're talking about that here. We're also brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use that promo code next round, or you can use our promo code Crimson. I prefer ours, but look, however you want to roll, we're cool with that. We're giving you a great deal, though. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip when using the code Crimson at mybookie.ag. All right. So are we in agreement that this is Ty Simpson's quarterback job to lose? I mean, we're pretty much, I think everybody's shaking their head yes. I feel pretty good about that. I'd say it's probably 75-25, like, and maybe an injury comes in. But he looks the part, Clint.
There's a lot of time between now and that first game against Florida State, and I do want to point that out to people. Right now, Ty definitely looks the best, looks the most confident, and like I said, he's got a great feel for the offense. And you see a 5-star talent. It's not like the guy lacks talent and, he's trying to compensate. Maybe, he doesn't have the talent of a Keelon Russell, but very few people do. One of the most toolsy quarterbacks I've seen come out of high school in quite a while. But, the offense just seemed to operate a little bit better when Ty was, taking snaps.
Mm-hmm.
That's to be expected to an extent. Like, we got to remember, how far into this is Keelon Russell? I mean,
yeah, he just started.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to continue to get better. You saw him get better throughout the course of one practice. I can only imagine how much he's got better since the start of the spring. But, yeah, I mean, Alabama's trying to win football games. It's both a short and long-term play. But, yeah, I definitely think Ty's got a pretty commanding lead right now. And, I mean, the weapons, that's another thing that really stood out, Mick.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And granted, you saw all the guys.
Hold on. Let me stop you there, and let me get to the comments, and then we're going to talk about the weapons, because I feel like there's a lot of weapons around Ty Simpson in that offense. But Brandon Carroll, thank you guys, man. I know that he says it sucks that they're not televising this. I don't agree with any of this, not doing things the way that we did it. But I don't want guys transferring out either. So if it's going to keep guys on the roster, I get it. Bob, always great to see you, man. Roll Tide. Chris, roll Tide to you. Bama Boy says it turned into a scrimmage today. Clint should have some good stuff to talk about. He does. We're into that right now. We are really. Shane, roll Tide to you, man. AK, always good to see you. Always good to see you. Roll Tide, brother. Lisa, Roll Tide. What was cool is we have run into a lot of you guys. Look, watching from Maine right now. James said Clint is a real one. Are you a real one? I like that about you. I like that about you.
You know what? I don't have the dictionary definition of a real one, but I appreciate Shaden's opinion on it. Very much so. Appreciate
y'all's show. Roll Tide. I mean, and look, if you guys got a question for Clint about the scrimmage, I see there's just a ton of comments on here. Go ahead and fire those up, and we'll try to get to those as we hang out. Because we're at Innisfree, and, look, there's nothing wrong with wings and cold beer. Now, I will say this. The only problem is that I got my wings, but I'm already working, so I can't eat them. I'm looking at the Irish gold sauce on the side. I want to dip my wings in and eat them, and I can't get there.
It's not stopping you from the beer, though. I don't think anybody can. Yeah, the wings can wait, but the beer cannot.
Got cigar. We got it all up here.
Yeah, Stan's over here taking care of us with a cigar.
Stan from LA, man.
Phenomenal, man.
Stan from LA. He's setting the example for all of you guys watching across the country right now. When you come and hang out with us at Innisfree, Stan brought us stogies. And that's pretty cool. All right, let's get back to it now. The weapons around Ty Simpson and the rest of this Alabama offense on display. It feels like the quarterback is going to have a lot of wide receivers that he can count on this year.
It's as deep as we thought it was. That was one of my big takeaways. Feels like Latsier Brooks and Rico Scott probably look the best to me. I mean, their ability to kind of win off the line of scrimmage, great at creating separation, a lot of those one-on-ones, which we've talked about that a lot going in. If you've got Bray Hubbard, I mean, how often are you really going to be asking him to cover a guy like that? Man-to-man coverage, one-on-one, shifty slot receiver. But, I thought Latsier Brooks and Rico Scott looked phenomenal. Isaiah Horton was certainly as advertised, great on the digs, anything working over the middle of the field. Like, you see a guy like that and you think, okay, this is a guy that can win vertically with speed, also can go up and win the 50-50 catches or balls. But, great working over the middle of the field. Jalen Mbakwe, I thought, did some pretty good things. But yeah, just you watch the quarterbacks kind of rotate in. They were doing some different things where they'd be working on half of the field doing one thing, and then they would jog over to the other side and do some other stuff with like the offensive line and defensive line. And so that was pretty interesting. I'm sure their practice, as much as we all thought it was hectic, I'm sure it's pretty hectic for them, but that's kind of by design because things are moving so fast pacing, and when you're out there on the field. But one of the things that I noticed, man, is just as they continued to work into that rotation, that receiver, you didn't see like a significant drop off. Jalen Hill looks healthy, man. I mean, he was out there, he was moving well. Cole Adams did some good things. So just across the board, Derek Meadows made some plays. He was a guy who I actually think he's a little bit more advanced than I was giving him credit for.
Big guy too, big target.
Huge guy, and definitely one downfield, but kind of him working over the middle. The route running, I think, is a little bit further along than I was anticipating. So that was good to see. But yeah, the wide receiver room, I mean, it looks fantastic top to bottom. What
about Jalen Mbakwe? I mean, that was a guy that we came in and we're like, what's going to happen with Bach? I mean, he wanted to leave Alabama and then, he wants to be a wide receiver. And now there's a lot of competition at wide receiver. Did you get a chance to kind of get your eyes on Mbakwe and is this a guy that's going to be buried on the bench, or can he make some plays?
Well, I was kind of thinking, because he was an athlete, he was playing corner, probably the easiest thing to do with him is to put him in the slot early. Didn't really see him in the slot much. He was mostly an outside receiver, still, learning the nuances of playing the position. So some inconsistencies there, but I mean, you can clearly see how much of an athlete he is and how he can eventually help Alabama. I just think he's, he played a lot of quarterback in high school, did a lot of different things, but played a lot on defense, focused his entire first season on the defensive side of the football. Now he's trying to, move exclusively to the offense. So it's going to take him some time. But yeah, I mean, I thought he looked good. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. The tight ends were so depleted. I mean, just Jay Lindsey, Peter Knudsen, obviously the transfer from Weber State. I thought he looked better than I was, kind of anticipating as well. But just, Will Sanders, one of the things about Will Sanders, I mean, I've talked about it, but just seeing it today was pretty cool. You're watching him work as a tight end, and, you got split zone, you got the tight end working back across the formation and trying to get up, insert, do all those things. And I thought he was a great mover. I mean, just his ability to do that so flawlessly, his athleticism is going to be a major bonus for Alabama's offense eventually. But, he worked with the tight ends. I think with the twos, he did work with the twos at right guard a little bit, but a lot of his time from what I saw came with the threes. So, I still think he's got a little bit of work to do, but I think he's coming along quite nicely. And that's the encouraging part about, kind of what I saw today is as they're working into their depth even more, kind of like at receiver, I noticed it at Bandit, Keon Keeley, I thought looked, decent. But, he's working with the third team, did get some second team reps like a lot of these guys. But, I thought he looked much improved. Another thing that I do want to mention, and I'm kind of scatterbrain jumping all over the place, but Kelby Collins, we had kind of wondered what his role was going to be.
Oh, yeah. And on defense. You're going to defense, right?
Yeah. I'm jumping to the other side. It was one of the first things that I noticed when they went out there. Obviously, with James Smith out, Edric Hill was working with the first team at defensive tackle next to Tim Keenan. You had Jeremiah Beeman working as the second team nose. You actually had Kelby Collins working as the second team defensive tackle. So while he's kind of, we wondered, okay, is he going to play Bandit? Is he going to play on the inside? Checked in at 6'4", 285 pounds on the roster. I thought that was pretty noticeable back then.
Big dude.
Yeah, I thought, okay, maybe he could end up being a guy who plays at least a portion of his snaps on the inside. Well, I never saw him play Bandit. Now, I could have missed something because obviously there's a lot going on. But all of his reps were coming on the interior, and I thought he looked pretty good. So we've talked about once James Smith's back, I mean, I think Alabama at bare minimum needs to have 5 interior defensive linemen that they can kind of rotate. I think with what I saw from Kelby Collins today, I feel pretty good about their ability to get 5 with him being that 5th guy.
All right, hanging out with Clint Lamb. I'm Mick Gillispie, Cover Crimson, covercrimson.com. Use that promo, like $25 off right now if you buy the Cover Crimson package. We were hanging out with some of our friends in the stands, and
very cool. By the way. I always enjoyed that.
Thank you guys, man, for swinging over. But wish
we could have talked more. By the way, I did want to because there was 1,000 things going on with practice, and so I mean there were so many times I want to turn around and ask what they thought and stuff. You'll definitely have to hit us up. Maybe we'll go grab lunch or something. But it was great meeting everybody. That's for sure.
Well, that's how I feel too. Like none of you guys are strangers. You're all family to us, right? But 25% off the annual subscription at covercrimson.com. And Clint's on there constantly just pounding all of this stuff. So you got questions that you want to ask about Alabama football that we don't get to on the show. Know that that's over there. Stacy's on there as well. And, we're trying to build the channel every single day. And we appreciate you guys in the website as well for being a part of it. So And with coming up, look, the draft coming up, we got the transfer portal coming up. Life's about to get really interesting, even though we don't have practice. Yeah, we don't have practice until we get to the point where we're getting ready for games. But there's still enough stuff to talk about, and we'll be covering all of that on covercrimson.com. Guys, like, subscribe, thumbs up, though. Give us a thumbs up. That's a way of saying Roll Tide as you hang out with us here in Innisfree. And I got to tell you, yeah, I love Innisfree, man. Like my man behind the bar here, everybody's kind of hanging out. The weather's perfect.
It's perfect.
I told Sherry, come down here. I'm trying to get Cole not to go to Auburn or LSU. I'm like, this is the weather every day in Tuscaloosa. It never rains. We never have storms. Blue skies. Everybody's nice. All the ladies are good looking because he's a guy. This is the place to go to college. Ask my nephew Robbie; he'll tell you that too.
You just lied about 90% of that.
No, it never rains. I've never seen one drop of rain here before.
Good for you.
And the business school is numero uno.
That is very true. That's why I said 90%. I left you a little wiggle room.
Thank you. You know that. If I said anyway, look, Roll Tide, everybody. Thumbs up as you do it, and hang out with us on covercrimson.com. All right, you talked about Kelby Collins. I'm looking at this 8A thing, and I know the trend that we have right now going in college football, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking down and I'm going, I don't know what in the world's going on. I looked at Clint and I'm like, this is what it felt like for me as a student at Alabama when I wanted to get the really good seats. And so I had to wait in front, to get in there. And then I'm like, I get in there, but now I got 3 hours of just sitting in there. What am I going to do? That's what this whole thing felt like to me.
Mick,
I watch guys kicking. This guy's running over here. These guys are high-fiving. I want to see a game.
Nick, if Nick Saban would have known what Mick did today, he would have said he's soft. That's exactly what he would have.
He would.
Yeah, he tuckered out quick. I was shocked. You walked up the stairs, and I feel like you got up there ready to leave.
Clint's tells me where we're going to sit. And I walk into the stadium, and then I'm on the ground floor, we see Nacho. We get a picture made with Nacho, Bama guy. We just been in here before, our friend. And we and I look up and I'm like, okay, I see the section. And then I'm like, oh my God, we're going all the way up top. We're not going halfway. I saw
I'm not a quitter.
You are all the way up top. Is that when you get that vantage point though? What are you looking for? I
want to see everything. That's why. Now that's one of the reasons. Okay, let me be honest. I could have probably stopped a couple of rows up, but if you get against that wall based off of the time, it's we're going to be one of the first rows in the lower bowl that ends up getting some shade. That's exactly what happened. Spent the entire second half of practice, which you had already left by that point, so you didn't get to enjoy.
It was hot.
Oh, it was beautiful in the second half of that practice. It was good stuff, man. Well, I guess I can ask you, hey, were you surprised by this? But are you surprised that we noticed, that's the way I'll phrase it,
right,
that QB Reese was actually working with the first team defense when Nakai Hill-Green ahead of Caden Jones? Everybody,
was it Tim Keenan? Somebody the other day was talking about
Tim Keenan, his high school teammate. Yeah.
QB Reese is a football player's football player. Can I say that on here and you understand what I mean by that? He's a football player's football player. This guy's he's going to get his hands down in the dirt. He's going to get dirty. He's coming in hard. You better get out of the way. I'm pulling for this guy. And I'm glad that, you guys, that's why you have the practice and everything. You go out there and you hit, you got to be physical. You got to make plays. He's earned the right to be there. Now, it's going to change because you're going to have different personnel that are going to be available in the fall. But QB Reese has put himself in position, right? Come out of Ramsey High School? He's put himself in position to be a factor on this defense. And I think that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I was impressed with him. I think physically he's way further along than he was last year. Last year, and Tim Keenan actually brought this up, he did look a little bit light, a little bit undersized. From a physicality standpoint, he's a lot closer to where he needs to be. And he's got good instincts from what I saw. I'm still a big fan of Caden Jones. And granted, Caden ended up working back in. They would go 11 on 11, and then they cut away and do some other stuff for a while, and then they come back to 11 on 11, and then they go do some other stuff. So it was pretty hectic going back and forth. But I think the second time around when they went 11 on 11, it was Caden Jones out there with Nakai Hill-Green. Nakai was actually the guy who was out there pretty consistently with the first team. Not overly surprising given what he was at Colorado. I think it took him a little while. It took him a while at Colorado. People forget he did not start the first game of last season for them. I think, as far as picking up the defense, getting really comfortable with it, he's one of those guys that it's always going to take a little bit of time. But once it clicks, good instincts, great feel for run fits, does all that stuff at a high level. One of the other things that I noticed, and we saw it a little bit last year, but we're continuing to see it, and I love the looks. Like the old 2011, 2012 Nick Saban defenses would have loved some of the 3-4 looks that I saw today, because you had Quay Russaw and Yanze Pierre kind of lining up as those 3-4 outside linebackers and 2-point stances. You saw LT Overton and Edric Hill working as the 4-eye tech, defensive ends.
Right.
And then you had Big Tim Keenan kind of working as that 0-1 technique nose. And, when they were in those looks, I thought they looked really good as far as being able to stop the run, playing their, gap responsibilities, like your 2-gapping in a lot of those instances. You saw them doing that. Edric Hill was surprisingly good at that,
right,
holding the point of attack. LT Overton, I mean, just across the board, I think the defense looks like it's going to be pretty good. Now, a lot of people were seeing some of the one-on-one battles and stuff and watching the receivers completely torch some of the defensive backs, and it was Deshaun Jones and it was Bray Hubbard, and I mean, that's kind of stuff. I mean, that's just that those types of drills are kind of set up for
what happens.
Yeah, it's for the offense. What I really want to see with the defense is when they start getting it. 7-on-7, obviously you see some on the back end, but it was really when they would do the 11-on-11 work. I think the defense is going to be pretty good. But at the same time, another guy jumping back to the other side of the football that looked really good was Wilkin Formby. That guy has seriously improved.
You're becoming a Wilkin Formby offensive line super fan. Let me stop you right there. Let me go to one of the questions that we have on here. It's me, Marvin, shooting you a question. How did the O-line look? And I think with Wilkin Formby kind of popping up here, one of the stars of The Tide That Binds on Fox Nation.
Easy guy to pull for, first of all. I was a fan of his going into last year. One of the big things that I said, I thought he could break out. He could end up starting for Alabama, because I feel like he's a Kalen DeBoer type of skill set. He's very long. He's got some athleticism, good mover in the run game, but also, the traits were there from a pass protection standpoint. I thought his ability to kind of, maintain his base in pass protection, and especially in some of those one-on-one drills, I thought he's made significant improvement in that area, and that was really encouraging. Cam Dewberry was the starting left guard, or at least the first team left guard. I'm starting. I guess Shane Beamer would get on to me about saying that, but I thought Cam looked okay. But really, I mean, Wilkin, to me, I feel like Alabama's going to have 4 really good starters. Olas Alinen, kind of up and down, but there were definitely some good moments. He was better at tackle than I was expecting going in. I'd heard that he had improved, but just, I feel like he's an interior guy, but especially on the left side, like I thought, okay, if you're going to play him at tackle, probably need to be playing him on the right side, but he was better than I thought he was going to be going in as far as playing the blind side. And, there were some times where, he got beat, but I think that's kind of part of it. I'm trying to think of some of the other things that stood out. Keelon Russell had a phenomenal throw over the middle of the field, just being able to find the soft spot and fit it into a really tight window.
Right.
There was one time, Yanze Pierre, we talk about how important that pass rush is. There was one where they put him over the guard, and he did a phenomenal job of winning a club and rip against Jaden Roberts, and ended up applying pressure on the quarterback. Didn't get a sack, obviously, but
hey, can I use that as my next fantasy team? Club and rip.
Club and yeah, I mean you do a little clubbing and ripping, don't you? Yeah, we'll see where you're at later, but it's Saturday night. We'll see. Also, Jam Miller, phenomenal job.
I was gonna say Jam Miller, man. Like he looks like he's ready to be the star guy. I mean, I don't know how it's good, when in a real game, but gosh, he looks like he's ready.
I will say the thing that was most encouraging about Jam Miller that I noticed was there was one where it was, QB Reese was coming, man. Timed the snap perfectly, attacking the A-gap, came completely free. Jam Miller completely stuck his nose in there and took it on. And so from a pass protection standpoint, fantastic rep, ended up giving the quarterback enough time to extend. Quarterback ends up still not completing the football, but just from the Jam Miller side of things. You talk about wanting a running back to do those types, especially in Kalen DeBoer's offense that's going to want to throw the football. He's got some rushing ability, but his ability in pass protection, I think, is going to be big for this offense.
All right, I'm going to go through some questions, Clint. Just kind of hit them so we can get to all of them. And, guys, Thank you for being here. And, again, we're proud of Pearl River Resort for being one of our great sponsors over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. It's like an hour and a half from here, 2.5 and change from Birmingham. They got a sports book like out in Vegas. I was just out in Vegas. They have one that's honestly, it's better than a lot of the ones out in Vegas. You go in there, 20 big screen TVs, a huge full bar, all the games, the table, the window. You don't have to buy your seat. So Pearl River Resort, check it out over there, and maybe you feel like you want to put Bama on the futures. Hey, by the way, just a little tip for everybody in here. You want to make some money? The over under on wins for Tennessee's 9.5. Yeah, take the under.
You love this, don't you?
Then I'm a quarterback. All right. Let me pop up some questions here and see what you think. All right, you ready?
Yep, let's do it.
This is from Keith. He says, do you foresee a 6-man rotation at wide receiver?
I do not. I foresee probably a 7-man rotation.
Wow.
I don't want to go 8. I feel like they got 8, but I don't know who the odd man out is there, so please don't ask. But in today's college football with the transfer portal era, you're trying to keep guys happy. That is one thing. I think from a numbers standpoint, they could probably stand to add another receiver or two. But, from a talent standpoint, top to bottom, they have 10 really, really good receivers. Obviously, Bubba Hampton wasn't available this spring. But I feel like from that standpoint, from the standpoint of like, you're going to be able to rotate these guys and you're going to be able to get effective snaps. And it's like I've said, in maybe in one particular game, it might get condensed to like 6, where maybe you don't see one guy as much as maybe you'll see him in another game. And it could be matchup based, right? So if you're looking for a little bit more size, I don't know if even though I was impressed with Derek Meadows today, I don't know if he's going to be a guy who ends up being a part of that rotation because they just got so many guys. But maybe if you need something matchup based, obviously Isaiah Horton, you're going to have the main guys, probably the main 4 or 5 that's going to be pretty consistent, in my opinion. And I do put Rico Scott in that group because with Ryan Williams out, it was Rico Scott in the slot, and he looked phenomenal. He is every bit as advertised. I'm all in on the Rico Scott thing. From there, I think a lot of it's going to be matchup based as far as who ends up getting those snaps. But I would foresee you're going to see at least probably 7 guys getting pretty consistent snaps this season, if not 8. And I've always said, hey, you need to condense your wide receiver rotation. Let your quarterbacks get comfortable, or whoever your starting quarterback is, get chemistry built with the guys that he's going to have. I think in recent years, with the way things have been trending, all the extra, guys in the rotation, like you had like 3 tight ends pretty consistently involved. We were talking about maybe 4 last year. We were talking about multiple running backs. It's like, okay, how comfortable can your quarterback get as far as the chemistry and timing and everything when you've got that many guys that you got to get comfortable with? But at the same time, that's just the era of college football that we're in. Coaches are going to choose to expand when they can do it, when they can get effective play out of guys. And I think Alabama's got the depth at receiver to be able to do that. So I would fully anticipate for them to have bare minimum 7, potentially 8. That's almost your entire wide receiver room is playing at that point.
All right. Army wants to know updates on Ryan Williams. He looked fine, but he didn't practice.
Precautionary.
Yeah, it's just precautionary, man. This time of year, they don't want anybody getting hurt.
Yeah, if it was Florida State, Ryan Williams is out there. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, there's no reason. They kind of know what they're going to get from Ryan. There obviously wasn't like a finished product last year. He's still only 18 years old, so he's still growing, developing. Could, these snaps have helped him? Probably, but at this point, he's played a lot of football. He started an entire season. He's seen some massive moments. They know what they're going to get from him for the most part, so don't risk it. If you try to push him, if he's got something, a nagging injury, and you push it, and then it becomes a problem that maybe lingers in the next season or, prevents him from being able to get on the field. Now, what have you done? So, yeah, they're going to be overly cautious at this time of year for sure.
David Sprinkle, man, Roll Tide, buddy. Good to see you. Last time I saw David was at the Floribama for Army Navy. Him and Red Leonard. I was sitting behind, and it was like, you know how like sometimes you're sitting at a bar and like just everything kind of opens up, and I'm like through Big Earl and the Sexual Biscuits, I'm like watching, and I see everything, and I'm like, there's David Sprinkle and Red Leonard, who I saw at the baseball game Tuesday. Red, I wonder if they know each other. And then I went back to watching the band. But thank all of you guys for hanging out with us. And Roll Tide to you, Ryan. Everyone that's been part of our show today, because I'm not even done yet. I just wanted to tell you guys that covercrimson.com right now. Take advantage of it. $25 off the annual subscription. We get on there and talk. Clint's going to be breaking all this stuff down, and we'll continue to talk about this team. All right, let's go back to another question. Clint, what about the kicking game? I saw him kicking. I did see him kicking before I went out of there. And I said, we don't know any of these guys. We don't know the snapper. We don't know the kicker. We don't know the punter.
Look, I'm sorry. I made an executive decision. Things were going crazy as far as like 12 different things are happening. I'm trying to take notes. I'm trying to take notes. At first I was trying to tweet. I decided that's not happening because we're always going to take care of our subscribers over at covercrimson.com first. So I was trying to do some write-ups, talking about Kelby Collins, talking about who was starting at receiver, talking about, Austin Mack and some of the turnovers that he was having. And so when they went special teams, I'm like, wait a minute, I've got a chance to kind of catch up here, get all my thoughts down before I forget them. So I made an executive decision where I did not watch the special teams. And I know that's a very important part of Alabama's success or failure in 2025, but I'm going to leave that for other people because I just felt like relative to everything else that was going on, it was on down my list as far as priority.
I saw him kicking, and I will tell you this, they made the field goals. So, I mean, that's as much as I can give you.
Talty was the first.
And it was Talty. I mean, it's just kicking them, boom, right through the upright.
I didn't see any long ones, though.
No.
I did look up, and it was more. It really was extra points that I noticed.
That's what I saw, too.
So, yeah, it's I'm hoping he's moving it through the uprights on those.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Like and subscribe. And, again, thumbs up. 360 you guys watching live right now on covercrimson.com. And, we get after it every single day. At noon, we drop shows. Sometimes they're live, sometimes they're not. But we appreciate you guys as we hang out and talk Bama. And we're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. Use that promo code next round. Also use the promo code Crimson. That's our promo code. 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip when using Crimson at mybookie.ag. All right. So what do you think about the overall event? Okay. Let's grade it. We're in college. You're giving it a grade. What do you think? A, B, C, or D?
Look,
F.
Fan Day did this to me a couple years ago where Nick Saban was running. He had two different things going at once, a lot of scrimmage-like stuff, and they were going so fast that it was very difficult to keep up with what all was going on. Because you're trying to get personnel, where is it lining up, but you're also trying to pay attention to what's actually happening on the play. Today felt very much like that, which is a practice. You would expect that. I mean, anytime we go to practice, for even in those first few periods, and it's mostly just warm-ups, it's like, you always got to prioritize what you're going to go watch and look at because you can't see everything. It's all going on at once. So, I mean, that shouldn't be surprising. But, are you asking like the actual event? Or are you asking about the performance overall?
I'm going to tell you my opinion. Let's get back to playing a game. And I like what Coach Prime said. Let's have a real game. Let's have a scrimmage game.
I love it.
Let's build up to a real game. Something worth watching. I like the music. It was upbeat. They had the videos on the scoreboard, and I was trying to tell our young friend that we're trying to get to go to Alabama, like, look up there. You're going to go to LSU. And if you notice that, like, you guys, the LSU's on the wrong end of a lot of these things.
Did you tell him to call them corn dogs when he gets on his visit?
I said that. I said, when you go down there,
you kidding me? You trying to get this kid in trouble?
No. This is the thing. You can call them corn dogs, or you can act like you don't know why they're called corn dogs. So you're down there on you're going on your tour, and you're like, man, I heard that I heard people in Tuscaloosa referring to y'all as corn dogs. Like, just act like you don't know anything about it and kind of see what their reaction is. Now, we all know that it's because Bourbon Street smells like corn dogs, and that's what we call them. But I thought it was, honestly, man, I don't know. I mean, it was cool to see everyone out there kind of, doing that. Like, anything football is a win to me. But it's like I said, I wish we would get back to that. And then Buck says injuries killed A-Day, and that could be part of it too, man. You don't want anybody getting hurt on the A-Day, but Final thoughts, though. What do you got? Well, I say you got notes. News and notes with Clint.
Yeah,
other takeaways.
Yeah, let's see. One, tough on dig route. I always do numbers because I don't have time to write names. But one, tough on dig routes. So Isaiah Horton. I did notice that at one point, Dijon Lee ended up getting beat down the field. I think it might have been on the double pass where Isaiah Horton ends up going. I don't know if that was on Dijon Lee. I can't remember. Anyways, there was a play where something got screwed up. He gave up a play downfield, and they immediately pulled him, and he was working with the first team. And it was Red Morgan who replaced him on that next, what I would call drive, even though it was still the first team, rather than Cam Calhoun. And I remember thinking, okay, that could just be something that they just did. Or does this mean, like, with Damani Jackson out, like Red Morgan is cornerback 3? And so he's going to be, I don't know. I don't know how much to read into that. Already talked about Jay Miller looking good in pass pro.
Toshera says this practice type deal is keeping fans away from watching, especially when you don't live in the state and you go to watch. Thank you. I agree with you 100%.
Yes, I would agree with that as well. And someone posted on Twitter earlier, and I quote tweeted them, that they feel like that college football is making a big mistake with kind of the lack of spring games. I have seen a lot of different fan bases who have said they feel more disconnected to their team. And this is not like Bama, even though I feel like Bama fans.
Well, we're all part of this together.
Yeah, South Carolina was one of them. A guy on Twitter that's a South Carolina fan, he said that, he can't remember a more boring offseason. It's because they're not revealing too much.
Right.
Like Shane Beamer's going off on the media because they're at practice and they said, hey, these guys were working with the first team. These guys were working with the second team. And he's like, they're individual drills, which is 100% correct. But I will say, like, you're trying to create some sort of interest because right now it's just really not there as much as it has been in the past. Now, granted, I do think things have picked up. But like as soon as the season was over, it felt like people were burnt out on college football a little bit. And I think that if this is like a long-term play, this is how they're going to operate long-term. I really do think it's going to hurt the sport. But what I will say is that I think it's very temporary as they try to navigate and kind of iron out some of these NIL transfer portal problems. And you might start getting some of this stuff back. And I will say, after maybe going a year, hopefully not 2 years, but a year after without having like a spring game, I'm hoping if they bring that back, there's like a ton of buzz and excitement about it.
Yeah.
So, it can have some positives down the line, but I don't disagree with anybody. Here's the thing. We do this for a living. Do we want to address that problem or acknowledge that there's, some problems as far as the interest, especially right. Everybody will be interested once the season starts. They'll watch the games, but I think just the disconnection between fan and program right now feels a little bit further, in a place that I really don't like it. I mean, we're not going to run from that fact, though. So, I mean, I think that's fair. So anything else? I thought Zay Mincy looked good, by the way.
Right.
I mean, gosh, he looked so impressive physically. Great. I mean, and you had, I want to say, so he was playing the strong and Bray was playing the field safety. So strong safety is going to be playing the boundary. Field safety is going to be playing the field, obviously. And so Bray Hubbard was playing what I would call free safety, field safety, and Zay Mincy was playing strong safety. And then behind him, it was trying to think. Obviously, Ivan Taylor was playing field, and I think Cam Howard was playing strong. And then something else that I took note of was Steve Mmoa. He's just not there yet. I'll put it that way. Like everybody knows, I'm a huge fan of his. I've talked about how impressive he is. Like when you look at him, but just whether it be, I thought I said he got bullied by Parker Brailsford off the line of scrimmage. That was one snap that I noticed. And then he got stonewalled by 70. So Will Sanders, it was the one-on-one pass rush drills. And just, I feel like the defensive line probably didn't do as well as I would have liked as far as those one-on-ones. But I think, I guess that also bodes well for the offensive line.
Yeah, right. All right, man. Well, look, it's been fun.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot more about this stuff
this week.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot as far as going back. Now, normally I get to go back and watch the game again and take notes.
Can't do that, though.
But I mean, I've got so much that I'm kind of trying to work through. So this is, there's going to be other things that kind of pop up into my mind. We'll have plenty of talking points this next week. That's for sure.
Well, hanging out at Innisfree, and we appreciate everyone here. Tripp, and you met Sneed for the first time. Now you know who Sneed is, the world famous golfing Sneed. He's the guy that he's the man that runs this place. Coker loves him some Sneed. Now you met him.
Yeah, very cool. And I hope Coker gets better, man.
Yeah, he's. I don't know if we're at the point now where we're going to say prayers for Coker, but his throat's been sore. And I told him, I said, in this business, I know he played football and, guys stay on the sideline and they wear, black no contact jerseys. But in this sport of broadcasting, your voice goes down. You got to figure out a way to get through it.
I was there about a month ago. I couldn't even talk there for a couple of days. You think Tennessee hits up Coker? You think Tennessee gives him a call and be like, hey, you got any eligibility left?
Does he get some years back that he spent at Florida State?
Hey, if you just sue the NCAA, I mean, they'll give you eligibility.
I'm going to read the text for him that I sent him just so we can get it right. He wrote, finally starting to get my voice back. This is crazy, man. Never lost my voice for multiple days like this. I wrote back, this is the ups and downs of broadcasting. It's a tough business. Keep your head up, kid, and keep pushing.
Are you being motivational over here? What'd he say?
He said, that's right. I'm just trying to get this guy. Like, he's a year into broadcasting now. He's starting to turn the corner.
He is.
He's someone that comes and hangs out with us. All right, before we get off, I do want to talk more about Nico. How about Nico trying to hold Tennessee hostage after the end of practice? They had their game today, their orange and white game or whatever they call it. And the guy, at the very end, Clint, he's like, he doesn't show up because the $2 million isn't enough.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for Tennessee for doing this. They had to stand their ground here. That was I feel like this is a pivotal point in college football. Like, if you let that go, man, and you kind of give in and you give him the money, not only are you opening a can of worms for your own program, but other players for other programs are going to see that. And you're probably already going to start seeing it a little bit more. This feels like the first opt out of a bowl game that we ever saw, where it's like, more's coming. But the fact that this could end up working out so poorly for Nico, which I do think that's extremely possible. Tennessee's offense is very gimmicky from an NFL perspective. As far as how does it translate, a lot of questions from NFL evaluators, because there are certain things that's like you don't know if they can do it. And so, I think from that perspective, if he ends up in the right offense, maybe that helps with his NFL evaluation. But I also think when you are doing it after pretty much when spring's over, you've only got 4 months into the season, and you're going to be trying to transfer somewhere, build chemistry, learn a new offense. It's a new environment, and you're going to have this kind of hanging over your head. That's tough. And so I just some of these handlers for these kids, man, they don't realize it, but they're doing them a complete disservice.
Yeah, it's so sad. It really is.
But I will say, I will give Josh Heupel and Tennessee credit. They put their foot down. They say, hey, he was already paid as one of the top quarterbacks in college football. Like, that's the thing about it. That would be like a guy who just signed to be one of the top 2, or 3 paid quarterbacks in the NFL who had a very imagine Kirk Cousins right now. Oh, okay, that's extreme. Nico was better than Kirk Cousins, but imagine some guy that's getting a hefty paycheck already relative to everybody else trying to come to you and say, not only do I want you to increase it, like they're talking about for this year, essentially doubling it, going from about 2-something million to 4. It's like that. That one of the most absurd asks. Nick Saban, I guess, dealt with this a little bit, not necessarily with money. But when you've got guys pretty much saying, hey, can you get my girlfriend into law school here at Alabama? And Saban pretty much told him to kick rocks.
Yeah, can you imagine that conversation?
Yeah, I'm sure. I imagine it did not go very well.
I wouldn't have wanted to do that.
Yeah, so it's
the Sabanator.
I feel like this is something that we all, as college football fans, need to stand alongside Tennessee. You can laugh at them, not telling you not to do that, but at least support their decision, because I feel like if they would have given in, it wouldn't have just been bad for Tennessee. It probably would have been bad for everybody.
All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us again. Thank you to mybookie.ag, promo code Crimson. And obviously, we're on at covercrimson.com every single day, kind of doing this thing. Clint's going to be breaking everything down Monday through Friday at noon. We'll have a show for you guys as well, covering Alabama and Pearl River Resort, our friends over at Pearl River, Dancing Rabbit Golf Course, the Azaleas, the Oaks. You watch the Masters, and I know many of you are going, I can do the same thing. Well, do it over at Pearl River Resort. It's the Augusta you can play. You don't even need a membership to play. A fantastic golf course. But thanks for hanging, guys. And thank you to everyone at Innisfree, and Roll Tide.
To Pearl River Resort.